Hello everyone, I'm Kathy Working. I'm the Executive Director of On the Move Art Studio, and I'm really excited to be kicking off this series of weekly art classes that will be provided to you online. They're free of charge, and we're just hoping that we can keep, during this really tough time, that we can keep kids' imaginations and creativity going. So we are going to do a treasure map today. This is one of our favorite projects as reported by our children because they get to use their imagination and create stories and take themselves off to a foreign land as they do this project. So you will need a piece of paper, you will need a pencil and eraser, as well as a black Sharpie and whatever color media you want to use, such as crayons or watercolor. So I will show you step by step how to create the drawing, and I would love it if you would post your completed projects on our Facebook page. And again, let's go have fun. Hi everyone. Are you ready to make a treasure map? One of the things I like about art is, given our current circumstances, we can't do a lot of actual travel, right? But through art, we can, using our imagination, we can transport ourselves into, well, really to any place that we want to go. And so today we're going to go to some enchanted lands through our drawing. The other thing that I like about art is that you can have your art tell a story, okay? So you're going to have characters and you're going to have action. You remember all of this stuff from school, right? And so you can create your own story on paper. So you need a piece of paper, doesn't matter, what kind. Now, if you're going to be using watercolor, you should use a heavier watercolor paper. But if you're just going to be using crayons or colored pencils or Sharpies, you can use just a regular drawing piece of paper. Okay. Now I'm going to be drawing using Sharpie, black Sharpie, so that you can see better. But what I want you to do is start drawing with a pencil, and then you'll go over your work with a black Sharpie. Okay. So the first thing we need to do is figure out water and land masses, right? And this can be random. You can make little coves. So what I'm basically doing is drawing a large body of water. So inside is going to be, my lines will be the water, and outside will be land. Okay. Now I'm going to put a couple of islands in my body of water. And then I can place buildings or trees or whatever I want here. And again, we don't want circles or ovals because land masses usually have some nice curves in them, don't they? Okay, so I've got one large body of water and I've got two islands. And I think I'll put another little, this is like the land of lakes. That's going to be some water too. Okay. Now, I want to start thinking, do you know how, where you've got a map that it tells you where north, south, east, and west is? Well, we're going to do a really fancy way of making our directions known. And have you heard of a compass rose? That's what we're going to make. So a compass rose, you'll see them on old-time maps, right? We're going to make one circle. And then we're going to make another circle. And I'm just going to show you the basic principles. Again, you can make one that is designed to look how you want it to look, but it should have the circle, and then it should have 4 large triangles going straight up and straight down and straight across, okay? All right, and here we're going to put N for north, and we're going to put S for south, and we're going to put W for west, and E for east, okay? So now we know that up this way, we're going north, down the south, east, and west. Now, sometimes we put in smaller triangles. So this one would be northeast. This one would be southeast. This one would be southwest. And this one would be northwest. You don't have to get that fancy if you don't want to. But just make sure these triangles are a little bit smaller than the big 4. Okay? And again, you can decorate these however you want. I'm going to echo my triangle design in this circle. And then fancy this up a little bit so that the big 4 stand out a little bit more. Okay, so that's what's called a compass rose. It gives you the directions on your map. Okay, so let's start working with thinking about what we want on our land mass, okay? Because we don't want it to just be plain. So you could do things like little clusters of mountains. We'll put some snow on top of them. And let's put some mountains over here too. Then if you want, you could have some trees. And we're keeping everything really simple. And you don't have to fill everything up, right? Because you're just telling the traveler where the important landmarks are. So you could say, go to the grove of trees and turn left, right? Or you could say, head over to mountains and go around the mountains. It could be that there is a stream that takes you around the mountains. And so you could direct them to that stream. And you might tell them, well, when you get to the dock, let's see, where should we put the dock? Let's put the dock over here. So a dock, you know, goes out into the land, into the water from the land. There we go. You could say, let's go to the dock and get on the ship and go and start going around the island and over towards the west. Okay, so let's put, and you can do whatever kind of ship you want. This is kind of an old-fashioned looking sailing vessel. It could be a pirate ship. And you could put pirates on there if you want. And then it's in the water, so we want to give it some waves, right? We might want to put some wave lines. This is the wake of the ship as it went around. Okay. And so it's heading over to this island. So maybe they're going on a vacation. So they want to sit under some palm trees. Or maybe they're escaping. Maybe there's somebody who's looking for them. And so they're escaping to an island. Or maybe they're looking for a hidden treasure. Pot full of gold. Maybe that's what they're after. Pirates might be interested in that. Okay, so let's put some more waves over here. Now, no adventure is complete without some danger, right? So why don't we put a sea serpent down here? And, you know, sea serpents are very long, kind of snake-like bodies, right? So we're going to have part of it coming out of the water there. And then we're going to have another part of it coming out of the water there. And then we're going to have a third part, the tail, coming out of the water there. We'll give it some scales. Now you don't have to get too detailed with this. All right, so there's our sea serpent, sea monster. Okay, so we've got to figure out what's going to go on over on this island. And I think we'll make this into a campground, like an old-fashioned campground. Where they have tents. And we'll put some flags on top of our fence. Did I say fence? Tents. That looks like a nice little island getaway, doesn't it? Okay, so now one of the things that you can do to make it look more map-like, besides doing the compass rose, is that you can do this dotted, well, they're more like dashed lines all the way around. Kind of makes it look cool. It's also, we don't want our ship to get too close to the edge, right? Because it would run aground perhaps on the rocks. Yeah, so if you want to put a lighthouse on one of these little areas, you can do that. Let's see, what else could you put on your map? Oh, how about a big whale? That would be kind of fun. Do some little lines to show that it's water. Okay, so there's a basic map for you. So the next thing you want to do is to go over your pencil lines, and you might want to spend a whole lot of time on this map making, and that's absolutely okay. You can just pause the video and then come back to the next step when you're done drawing and then tracing over your pencil lines, okay? But if you are interested in coloring, I would suggest that you use crayons because you've got some larger spaces, or you can use watercolor if you're experienced with that, but you can make it as beautiful and vibrant as you want it to be. And you can put in lots of details if you want, and just continue to create. You know, I've had some of my students who've done this project, they've spent hours doing it. So I hope that you have fun with it. I wanted to give you a short tutorial on how to use watercolor if that's what you want to do. What you need is a set of watercolors. It can be more basic than this one. I just like all of the colors on this particular set. You need some water, a couple of different sizes of paintbrushes, and a piece of paper toweling. Okay, so I'm going to just paint part of this, but I just wanted to show you a few techniques for getting started with watercolor, just in case you don't have much experience with it. So let's choose a nice shade of blue, and we're going to do the water. And so you want to put water on top of your color pigment and move it around a little bit so that it picks it up on your brush. And you want to make sure that you are painting with the lines. And I use a smaller brush so I can get into some of these areas and go paint with the line. Okay, so I'm not going up to this line, I'm going with the line. And because we've used black permanent marker, it won't smear. Now, if you use watercolor marker, it's going to smear on you, okay? So we want to, okay, so we'll paint it like that and go around our island. So again, go with the lines. And the biggest trick to painting without having it go into areas you don't want it to go into is really look at your brush as it moves over the paper, okay? Don't look ahead. Don't look off to the side. Really watch that brush and where the paint is going. And you'll find that you have much more control. You also want to make sure that you keep your fingers down here so that you, kind of like you're holding a pencil. Some of my students start off wanting to hold here and you don't have control over your paintbrush. So get around through the, and hold your paper down with one hand. And if there's an area you don't like, you can go back over it, and with the watercolor and a wet brush, it will blend, okay? Then, when you're into the bigger areas, I'll just demonstrate how to do this. You're going to, again, put paint, oh, got paintbrush hair sticking out. There we go. You want to put a little more pigment so it matches what you did before. And again, when you come close to a line, you want to go with the line. Okay? All right, so that's just a brief tutorial on how to watercolor. Now, it's really important that you clean out your brushes really well before you move on to another color, okay? Otherwise, your colors are not going to be true to their colors, right? So you want that blue to really pop. If you're going to use a gold for the land, then you want it to be a true gold, okay? So it's just really important to get into the habit of cleaning your brushes and then taking your paper toweling and double checking to make sure that there's no paint coming off of it. Also, when you are finished with your project, it's really important for you to take your paintbrushes and go to a sink and rinse them out thoroughly with water. Again, checking when you're drawing them to make sure that no paint is coming off. If you don't get in the habit of doing that, brushes are expensive, and if there's any paint in there, they will get hard and these bristles will stick together and you won't be able to use them anymore. Okay? I hope this was helpful. I would love it if you would post your finished products on our Facebook page. I'd love to see your work. Take care.